Well, I'll tell you what, Wisconsin is cold this year. I know you're thinking, hey, no shit, Sherlock, you're in Wisconsin. Yeah, well, I don't ever remember it being this cold. I mean, this has been, what, second week of it? Good Lord. Anyway, I was taking a trip down memory lane this week with, today with the pizza and talking about Reno and anyway, this is kind of a segment I'm calling Car Talk because I don't even know what, videos to make. So I'm giving her the old, I'm calling it the shotgun effect, where you just make all types of them and just overload the system with various videos and see what hits the target, right? Anyway, I was going down memory lane and I kid you not, I'm going to the store right now to buy, in one of my last videos there, I was buying cookies. They were so damn good, I've been thinking about them all week. And I'm going to get some homemade cookies from a place called Festival Foods here in Green Bay. What has happened in Green Bay? I'm off the subject real quick. It's become like New York. I got to take all the back roads. It used to be only 80,000 people in this town. We got the Packers, and it used to be all farms, and now it's all these other cities are built into us, and it's like New York. I got to take all the back roads just to have some peace and quiet. I go down all these back roads in town. Anyway, back to the subject at hand. I'm going to buy these cookies, and I'm going to make another stop, and I think I'm going to sneak you guys in to look at the pizza aisle. It's probably the biggest pizza selection in this. It might be in the whole world. I don't know for sure. I can't make claim to that, but I know for sure it's got to be the biggest pizza selection in Wisconsin, this grocery store. And I've worked there before, and they don't F around, so I'll have to sneak the camera in and see if I can't get you guys a view of all these pizzas. It's unbelievable, the choices you have. But anyway, the whole topic was looking back on all the traveling. And man, I used to drink so much, I really didn't know when I'd ever get into that topic on here, but it's part of my life. I was an alcoholic pretty bad for, oh man, how many years? I don't know, 15 years in there. When I was traveling and stuff, I was drinking probably somewhere between around a liter of vodka a day or every day. I've seen a lot of bad times that I made mostly myself, don't get me wrong, but addiction's tough. I was never on the hard stuff like alcohol is hard stuff if you ask me, but I was never on the junk or heroin or any of that crap. But I was making that video on the pizza, and I damn near started crying. I couldn't believe it. I was sitting there making that video and then looking around, and I got my own kitchen now, and I got my own life and my own house, and I got $100 in my pocket right now to go spend on cookies and maybe some specialty pizzas. And I was in the kitchen remembering all the really hard times. And I damn near started crying when I was doing my pizza review, and I couldn't believe it. I thought, man, I didn't expect to get a rush of emotions like that talking about pizza, but and all the dumps I've lived in my life, and I lived in so many states. I don't know. I can't even say. Every time I think about it, I think of another place I lived, but I must have been evicted from 25 or 30 places over the years from my drinking and noise making and oh yeah, I've gone through probably 25 evictions. I got stories for days about it. That's why sometimes I sit down and think, and to myself I think, what story do I even start with, and how do I bring up all these memories? How do I get them all out of there? Because you always try to put away the bad memories, And I think I gotta recall some of these stories, so I can tell them on camera. But it's tougher than you think, because you try to leave that in the past, and then all of a sudden now you're trying to remember things, And 90% of the time I was drinking and acting stupid. But I'm on my way to a place here just to get some cookies, and I thought, I'd have a car talking. I was thinking about these cookies, and I was sitting there, and I dang near started crying, because it's like, I don't even remember a time a while ago I would have ever been in a position where I'd be going to get cookies. You know what I mean? I'd be going to the liquor store. Back then you could get a 175 of at the time there, I think it was called Alamo vodka. I lived in San Antonio, Texas, and every day I'd go to the liquor store to buy a $7 or $8 bottle of Alamo, I think it was called. Texas vodka, made right in the city there, charcoal filtered, I think. I can still remember the label, you know. And every single day. And I think back and I'm like, I can't even, I can still smell the carpet in that shitty apartment I lived on, maybe one day people will watch this and they'll say, he's bullshitting. No, I'm not. I lived off of Broadway on a street called, it was 1250 East Mulberry Avenue. And they changed, somebody had taken spray paint and sprayed it crack in front of Berry, and Crackberry Avenue they called it. But anyway, probably one of the worst streets near downtown of San Antonio, and I lived there for, I don't know, 2.5 years or something. Twice. I actually lived there for over a year in apartment 106. No, 102. 1250 East Mulberry Avenue there. And then I ended up leaving, coming back to Wisconsin. I ended up in South Carolina. Ended up back in Texas eventually. And was back they put me in apartment 106, and the apartments were so bad, I left my 102 so bad that I thought, what the hell, they'll never let me back in. They didn't even say a word when I showed back up. They just handed me the keys and put me 3 rooms down, four doors down, and that's a story for another day, really. I could go on and on about that apartment complex. Holy mackerel. I was so poor back then and drinking booze. There was one night that I shot pigeons, and that's a true story. I lost a lot of friends along the way. They wouldn't want to talk on the camera about it, but they could verify my story. I literally shot pigeons one night, and we cooked them I plucked them, and I swear to God, it's a true story. Everybody else, you know, I'm shooting pigeons, and I plucked and feathered them in the apartment and everything. Wasted. I'm sure I was completely wasted. And I put those bad birds in the oven on a tray and basted them with barbecue sauce. I didn't have anything else, and it's a true story. Eating pigeons. You know you're an alcoholic and you're whacked out when you're eating pigeons. I'm going to tell you that right now. You know, even in your alcohol addiction and everything else, there's a million ways to go about it besides eating pigeons. I'll tell you, but I don't even know how I got to it that point, because you think, well, don't you just go to the food? But it wasn't like that when you're drinking like I was. I was so paranoid drinking and just acting stupid. I don't know why I didn't. I think eventually I did go to the food bank because we couldn't even stomach them pigeons. We were eating them and we couldn't even stomach them. And I'm thinking back on it now. This is a true story too. This isn't some made up stuff, man. I'll prove it one day if I gotta. I had some roommates that'll prove it. Yep. Eating pigeons, and I knew that was rough. That was rough. And collecting cans. I was trying to collect cans until I found out you don't get enough money. So I started donating plasma, right? So I donate plasma. And you'd spin a wheel and try to get extra money. You donate. I donated plasma a couple times a week. It'd give me $40 or something. 2008 time, somewhere in there. It's hard to remember the years when you're drinking like that, but somewhere in there for a couple years. And I'd donate plasma, and on the way home I'd get alcohol. Back then, now they have so now they have, what do you call it? It was Four Loko or whatever. But they already hit back then in these other states, these states like Texas, they had something called Juice, Joose. And one of them was made with 14% alcohol, and I'd go to give plasma, and then on the ride home, I'd stop there and I'd pick up a couple, 2 or 4 juices. You could get them for $1.25 each or whatever. I believe it was a 24-ounce can, and they had orange, blue, and red, and I believe orange was the strongest, if I'm not. It's hard to remember, but all you can remember really after drinking 2 or 3 of those is you either end up in jail, which I did 4 or 5 times for public intoxication. I once went to jail 3 days in a row for public intoxication off juice. And anyway, yeah. But I arrived at a festival here. And I'm going to go in there and get my cookies I was talking about. Anyway, there's nobody here, so I'm going to show you. Look at they got all these. Here they are. I love it. You got to look for the good dates. This one's used by 2-3. This is 131. There's 2-3. So I'm going to grab a couple of these. Well, I got my cookies that I told you about before I went in there. $10 for 2 cookie stacks. Fantastic. They're yummy is the word, yummy. And then now I got to go to a whole nother grocery store, just at Woodman's, just to get my. I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna get some really expensive beef jerky I like, and what else did I tell you I was gonna get from there? Really expensive beef jerky. Oh, I was gonna show you guys the pizza aisle. I need beef jerky and some expensive cheese and curds that you eat. Anyway, these videos are gonna be longer. I think it's for people that more want storytelling time, you know. So for people some people might like my food videos. Some people might hate everything about me. There are a lot of people that hate everything about me. I'll tell you, that's a true story. People either tend to like me in life or really hate me and want to punch my face in. And I don't blame them because I'm animated, right? You know, I got a big mouth. I've been thinking about getting a camera for this, a wireless camera to hook up, you know. But it's like I don't have enough going on and enough traction yet to even spend any more money on and have more add-on stuff to do, baggage and to deal with. But yeah, I went from 15 years ago I was eating birds off of power lines that I was shooting with a pellet gun, drinking a bottle of booze in an apartment with 1 couch, a blow-up mattress, no air conditioner in Texas, mind you, sweating with yeah, nothing. No money. Giving plasma to get juices, JOSEs. I almost broke down crying today thinking about it when I was giving my food review because, like I said, a lot of it I did to myself. I couldn't get out of that alcohol addiction. So if you're going through it, I know how it is. What the worst part is, once you're kind of out of it, like I'm not completely, like I still drink and I shouldn't do that, but once a week or once every 2 weeks I let loose and I drink, and that's just been that's always kind of been a thing for me where it's like now I'll wake up and be like, I don't want to touch alcohol again for a week or 2, you know, kind of made it into my life like that, where it's like I could never really, I went cold turkey for a while. I did a couple years at a time. But I'd always think about it, and it's almost like, I don't know what the saying would be, the best of 2 evils. Is that what the saying is? This is better than what it would be, but anybody going through severe alcohol addiction, I completely understand, and I know all. And then the worst part is I look so stupid in it, and I look back, and it was so stupid. The moment you get out of it, and you're looking back, and you got your life together enough where you can look back, you're like, I can't believe I gave so many good years of my life to alcoholism. Oh, I don't even know. I wish I could start a class, and I'm not the guy to do it because I still have a drink here and there, but oh man, if I could help somebody get out of that addiction, I would. I wish I could. I wish I could get them to see the light and how. Oh man, I don't know. It's so hard when you're in an alcoholism and you're in the addiction and every day you're drinking, and it's impossible to tell somebody how to get out of it. That's the worst part, you know. And then once you are, you can see like how ridiculous it was. And no, you don't need to have church and religion. You don't need to pray to get out of it. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're into religion, be into religion. There's nothing wrong with that. That's healthy. That's positive. Anything that you can get but it's not required to get out of that addiction. It's what does it require? I don't know. A lot of people say it requires hitting rock bottom. I think there's some truth in that. There's some. But you know, once you hit rock bottom, all you do is bounce off. And once you just get even a foot off the ground, you're back to drinking again. So I don't even think it was hitting rock bottom. I don't even remember what did it for me. But I'll tell you, probation didn't hurt. I think a lot of alcoholics are like me with bipolar and ADHD and stuff like that. And having a forced routine really helps guys like us. Like being on probation sometimes was the best time of my life. I was in control of the alcoholism back then because I don't know what it is, but with guys that like me, if you are forced into something, and I know I could have broke the rules, I could have drank, blah, blah, blah. But it was like, that's all it took was that little bit of forced sobriety, forced get a job. That was my, it was either, you're either going to work and be sober or you're going to stay in jail. And that was okay. For me, that worked out well. But, I'm not condoning going to commit crimes until you get locked up and put on probation. I'm not telling you guys to do that. But today I was just thinking about the past, and I don't know. I counted one time from alcohol and all the bad decisions I made drinking. I must have been locked up. I think I counted 23 times or something. Sometimes for a night or two, sometimes for a while. I made some really stupid decisions over the years. Anyway, I was just perplexed. I had so much emotions today, just going to get cookies and being able to have $100 bill in my hand to go get whatever I wanted, any snacks I wanted. And I was cooking that Tony's Pizza, bring me back memories of being poor with Tony's Pizza and drinking all day and night. And it really brought back a flood of memories about all the shit I put myself through, really. And I used to work here too. When I was in active addiction, alcoholism, I worked here at Woodman's, and I was pushing carts and stocking shelves, and it was a great job, and I lost it because, not solely because of addiction, but if you go back to the story, I started a guy's car on fire, and I just couldn't face myself for just dumb decisions from drinking. And if I wasn't drinking, I would have had myself in that situation, and I would have probably kept the job, right? The first day I worked here, they told me, if you work here for 10, I don't know what it was at the time, 20 years, and I was a young guy. I was probably 20-something years old, 20, I don't know. When you were in active addiction of drinking and this, that, and other, it's harder to look back and remember exact years. But I was definitely in my 20s, probably early 20s, and I worked here probably 3 or 4 months before I ended up losing my job because I was a fool. And the first thing they told me when I got the job here was, if I work for 20 straight years, I'll retire a millionaire, guaranteed. Well, I'm not here for the pizza today, but look at them all. Look at all these pizzas. And that's not all of them either. Look at it, they got even more pizza. How much pizza could you ever want? Look at, they got 3 aisles of pizza. Anyway, I didn't record too much in there because they won't put up with any BS. I worked here. They'll throw me right out of here. But They got really strange stuff, and this right here, as you can see the Reaper on it, is some of the just spiciest beef jerky money can buy. It's only in Wisconsin right here. But Mike's Country Meats, if you ever get a chance to buy this anywhere, my goodness, you better have a towel to wipe the sweat off your forehead. And this cheese here too is fantastic. Cheese curds, Wisconsin cheese curds. Anyways, this place is the only one that carries stuff like that. And old time gumballs or whatever. Anyway, you got to drive all the way out here. It's an extra 5-10 minutes. What are you seeing to drive? About 10 minutes to get out here, 5 minutes. But yeah, they don't put up with any BS here. This ain't like regular grocery stores. So, might run into a Packer player here too. This is where they shop. This is their city. It's connected to Green Bay, but it's Howard Swamico. It's just a little offshoot of Green Bay. You can see I drove right from the stadium to here in 5 minutes. But yeah, all the Packers live out in Howard now here. So this is kind of like their area, their grocery store. So they don't put up with some idiot walking around with a camera like other places might. Like you probably get away with that Walmart or... So I didn't want to go crazy. But you guys got to see the selection of pizza. That's where I get all my pizzas from. I always got pizza reviews and all different types of pizza. So I'll have to go through them again one day. They always got new stuff coming in. But this was just kind of like a car talk. This is probably my favorite. This would probably be, if I had a choice what I could do for YouTube and actually get viewers and people to... would be car talk and talking about life and alcoholism recovery, and just stuff like that. Being broke, getting yourself in it, living in cars. Oh, I've lived in cars. It's just too bad when I did it was 2005 to 2000 whatever it was, and I had flip phones, and it wasn't like this. You didn't have 4K cameras you could buy for $300 or whatever it costs, and you didn't have smartphones that are 4K capable, and you had flip phones. People that had smartphones even in 2010, I don't even know if they were affordable. I surely didn't have one when I was it wasn't affordable to somebody that was traveling with hitchhiking rides, you know. So now I don't have any footage of that. That would have been awesome to make a YouTube channel, to have footage of traveling and getting thrown out of places, and living in Vegas was wild. Getting thrown out. I got booted from so many apartments over the years in different places, running, you name it. Yeah, so this would be my favorite part of YouTube, would be talking about what happens in life and things we go through as people and decisions we make, tough pills that we have to swallow. But today was all about, when I had that video about pizza and I was talking about Reno, and I might as well just keep on that storyline today, considering that's kind of the story of the day is Reno. I left Montana. My cat got stolen. I got my damn cat stolen. That when I was going on the Greyhound, I needed help and I couldn't stay in a motel with the cat, and they caught me trying to sneak it in because my cat was so heavy and big. I had a big old cat. Name was Marley. Still think about him to this day. And church family, a Mormon family, borrowed the cat. They wouldn't answer my phone calls. I never got my cat back. And I know the Mormons are good people because I kind of grew up around the church and stuff. So I let them, I just look back and say, I sure hope that cat had a good life, you know. It was a beautiful cat. And I think they probably had the cat with their family for a couple days and didn't want to give the cat back. And I wish they would have told me that instead of avoiding my calls, considering they're supposed to be some of the, religious people. They could have just said, hey, our family fell in love with the cat, and that would have made my heart feel a lot better about the situation. But yeah, I was jumping through barbed wire fences because in Montana I was hitchhiking, and the police don't like anything to do with that and the trouble I'd already made there. So I was following field. They're not fields in the sense like Wisconsin fields with corn or nothing. They're fields in the sense that it's like mountainous, and you run into barbed wire fences in the middle of nowhere over and over. It'll be nighttime and you'll be off the highway and you're just trying to hide out, or whatever, and there's barbed wire run across the whole. You can't even get around it. You'd have to walk a mile, because they must enclose their cattle or whatever, and you'd have to go through these barbed wire, and sometimes they were made really well where they got it. I had rips all over my clothes, and then I'm trying to walk my way and hitchhike from Montana to Idaho, and I think it was 100 miles or something like that. Eventually I did. That Mormon family I told you about gave me a ride eventually, and they gave me the ride the rest of the way. I think I hitchhiked probably 70 of the miles, and I walked maybe 10 of them or something like that. And my car broke down. It blew up. It didn't just break down. The thing overheated. It blew up. It had already had a head gasket problem. It needed a new head gasket. I had rigged up some fans to run 24/7 to keep the engine at a temperature that was just under the overheating, with just the air flow, and that lasted a while. But right when I needed to get somewhere, that was over 100 miles, it just wouldn't do it. The whole thing blew up. The engine seized right up. Coolant was bubbling out of everywhere, and that's when I hit the road hitchhiking. My license plates, who knows what. Insurance, I didn't have anything like that. I just got done telling you I was drinking. That's when I got to hitchhike to the nearest major city, which was Idaho Falls. And looking back, I should have just stayed in Idaho Falls. It was beautiful. It's like God or the universe was telling me, listen, here, I'm going to put you in a nice place that I think you'll thrive. And here I am like an idiot. I listen to a bunch of street kids and morons that give me a brochure and tell me Reno is a better place. And the streets are lined in gold, like I talked about on my comedy special there. And I ended up living in a motel called the Rose Inn. I don't know if anybody's from Reno that will ever listen to my videos. It was called the Wild Rose Inn, I believe. And the first thing they told me after they took my money, of course, for the week, which was like, I think at the time, it was a long time ago, 10 years or whatever, how many years it was. They said it was $150. The first thing they tell me is, if the bed bugs bite, let us know. We'll try to find you a different room. And then I actually got lucky, and the bed bugs weren't in my room, believe it or not, because I didn't have anything. A lot of people told me that have had bed bugs that they go after the sloppiest people, and I didn't have anything to live with, so there was nothing to eat. I was skin and bones, I'm sure, But anyway, the room I was in didn't have any hot water, and I'm paying for this dump in Reno. Oh man, if anything else. The first day I got a mountain bike. I got a mountain bike for $35 with a lock included, right? And so I can get around town. $35 from the pawn shop. And they didn't tell me, but I'm like, $35, I hit the jackpot. I got to ride around town. It didn't last one day. The lock was cut and the bike was stolen. Overnight, the bike was gone. And the neighbor said, oh, you got to take your bike in the room with you. So I didn't know that. I had to walk the bike up 3 flights of stairs and take it everywhere I went in the bedroom with me and sleep with it. Even at Walmart, when I got another bike for $10, I started to realize, this town's a dump. And the next bike I got at Walmart was $10 or $15. And I got smart, and got a U-lock. Somebody gave me one of their U-locks, one of these junkies or whatever. And that's harder to cut with a saw or a wire cutter or whatever, And he, even then, these one trip to Walmart with it, they cut all the gears off of it. So I only had one gear on a 15-speed. That's what they do out there. That's how bad Reno was. I wouldn't say Reno is like a ghetto in the sense that you're going to have to worry about too many shootings. Maybe now, but back then it wasn't that. It was just a bunch of problem people that got a kick out of cutting your, like, just watching you be miserable. Everybody seemed to be so happy watching everybody else more miserable than them, and that was really the epitome of the situation, is that they'd cut your gears off so you didn't have any gears. They'd flatten your tires, so I had to put in 2 tubes of ooze in each tire, so they were all warped and like bricks when I was riding them. It got to a point I had no job. They were kicking me out of there. I hitchhiked a ride. A guy was going through cancer, wanted to see his family for the last time. After I don't know how many months there, and he had cancer, and he found out he had cancer, and he wanted to see his family in Minnesota one last time, and he couldn't see because of, I don't know what you call it, glaucoma. I don't know what it was called, but he's like, you seem like a kid that's not going to kill me. If you drive the RV and get me to near Minnesota, I'll give you a free ride. You get a free ride back to Green Bay, and that's how I got back here that time. Yeah, I think that was the last time I traveled. That's how I got home. I drove an RV down Route 66 at 50 miles an hour all the way back from Reno to Wisconsin. Anyway, that's the story for today, folks.